and welcome back to the Folklore Workshop. And I thought I'd do something a little bit different on this actual video. And I'm actually going to do a top 5, going from 5 down to 1, of my best-selling sticks. But not just sticks, the actual wood design people actually want on their sticks. I mean, I do actually have a top 5, believe it or not. It's not as random as you'd think. And yeah, we've certainly learned a lot of lessons through our selling, what people do like and where people do like them. I mean, if we go to craft fairs and, you know, car boots or any other form of outdoor selling or stalls, we do find we tend to sell more of a particular variety of designs than others. But ultimately, if we're selling through selling sites and things like that, we do notice that there are firm favourites people look for and do tend to purchase on those. So I'll just share with you some of those and possibly one or two other designs that have popped up along the way that might cause a little bit of amusement and, you know, possibly not too much of a surprise. But here we go. We'll go and dive straight into the top 5. So at number 5 is the humble squirrel. Well, it's not quite so humble because they're an imported animal or rodent to the UK from North America, which they're quite prevalent, and it's done a lot of damage to our native red population of squirrels. But nevertheless, they are cute and cuddly, even though they can be very destructive to our native, you know, trees, plants, and indeed our wildlife, as in the songbirds. They will actually eat them. But yes, putting that aside, people do have a gravity and an affinity to this little rodent that they might see in their gardens, and yes, we do get asked quite a lot for it, and on top of that, it does sell quite well, and it sells quite well generally if we're selling online or if we're basically selling through car boots and stalls and craft fairs. It is a firm favourite, and yeah, the humble grey squirrel, or my depiction of a humble grey squirrel, does sell very well. Well, we're at number 4 now, and number 4 is popular by custom order, and indeed it sells very well over all platforms, and that is the humble songbirds. Now, that is blue tits, sparrows, chaffinches, you know, anything of that nature. It, you know, burnt on the stick, it does sell. And it is a firm, you know, reliable seller. People do like it because basically it's what you can encounter in your garden. You do not need a big garden to attract small little songbirds to dart in, and if you put a feeder up, you can quite happily sit in your kitchen window or lounge window watching these little birds flit from garden to garden, and you can have a little slice of wildlife coming into your life. So yes, they are a firm favourite as well, and you know, I get asked on custom orders to embellish the sticks with leaves and nuts, ivy, and you know, to make it look more foresty with these birds on the actual stick itself. But yes, they do sell very well, and people keep coming back asking for it. Well, they have one for themselves, then they'll come back and have me do another one for a close relative or a friend as a present. Yes, so the you know, songbird does sell very well, and that is number 4. Well, we're at number 3, and it's a bit of a surprise for myself because I would have placed it higher. I do have an affinity with the fox, and I've assumed and always, well, possibly misguidedly assumed that most people would have put that top of the British wildlife spectrum in their hearts and minds. But I've been proved wrong, and but the fox is still, by no means, not a favourite. People do ask for it through custom. They do ask for it when it's on my stalls, and indeed, walk-in customers will ask if I've got a fox because they've seen somebody else with one. The fox, can be found everywhere in Great Britain, from the moors, the mountains, right the way through to cities and towns, and indeed in the rural environment. I myself have had plenty of foxes come to my back garden. I do have chickens, which obviously is a draw, which I obviously have to guard against. But we were blessed one year with a mother fox bringing her single cub to sit on the hedge, and we'd watch these two sets of eyes, and they would stay there till our lights went out and we went to bed. Then they'd obviously come into the garden. Myself, I would put my rubbish bins out and sometimes forget to walk them round to the actual bins. So quite often, and I didn't learn this lesson too well because it happened on quite a few occasions, they would rip open our bins, drag it down the garden, and in the morning I had a mess to pick up. But yes, you can't help but love a fox. It is our biggest land mammal predator. And, they are skillful hunters. And I have indeed watched them myself take rabbits. And it's a pretty impressive sight, to see them hunting along the hedgerows. So yeah, at number 3 is the fox. And a bit of a surprise for me. But yeah, the fox is at number 3. So we are now at number 2, and at number 2 is the UK hare. Now, people will be confused if you're out and about in the countryside and you're not too worldly as to regard to identification between hares and rabbits. You may see rabbits and mistakenly think a large rabbit is a hare, but they can easily be identified after, doing a bit of research and becoming familiar with them, that they're usually slightly bigger, they have longer legs, longer ears, and they tend to sit a little bit more upright, where rabbits will tend to hunker down more. Now, the hare has been with us, in the UK pretty much since the Ice Age, but for rabbits, they're another introduced species. Some say from Roman times, others say they came with the Normans, but they've been here for a long time. But the hare is our natural, small mammal, grazing mammal. Now, people do like it, and a lot of the reasons I get given for it is because it features heavily in folklore, mythology, Celtic art. It features in like a lot of old stories, and it's regarded as a kind of animal that's kind of switched on. It's aware. It's always scanning, and you always get that story of the fox and the hare constantly battling, like the predator and the prey, the good, the evil, and how the hare is always trying to outsmart the fox. But ultimately, the hare is a favourite, and I get asked to do it quite a lot. So for me, making sticks, I produce a lot of sticks off the bat with hares on, because no matter what, I can always find a customer who's willing to buy it, because in their mind, that hare represents something dear to them. And like I said, more often than not, it kind of they understand that there's a little bit of folklore, a little bit of legend surrounding them, you know, mythology, and it's just got that little bit of a special aura. And you know, they can be seen everywhere throughout the UK. For me, where I'm to, I don't see them up on the moors. I don't see them in the low valleys. I see them on the good agricultural ground that sits higher than most of the surrounding land. And it's usually at the time just before plants or crops, shall we say, get too high you can't see them, or after the harvest when they're in the fields picking up the leftovers. And I'll quite often see them when I'm out plodding the footpaths. So yes, you know, the hare is coming in at number 2, and it's coming in extremely strong. I know if I take hares with me or put them anywhere on any selling platform or venue, they will sell. Now, number 1, you've probably been guessing what it's going to be, and you know, it's not a surprise for me, and possibly people, you know, watching this, and people throughout, you know, all forms of society, and indeed through the ages. And at number 1 is the stag. Now, you know, that probably is enough to say about that, but the stag kind of represents the head, the pinnacle of our wildlife animals. You know, it's the ultimate, you know, male mammal. You know, it's majestic, it's fast, it's powerful, it stands its ground. It's got that era of you know, being regal. It's at that very pinnacle in the top. It commands respect. And if you're in the woods during rutting season and you hearing stags, you know, bellowing and everything like that, you know, it can make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, particularly if you get caught unaware. And if you see a large one with antlers and you've stumbled across it, you know, it can be, you know, it can make your heart race a little bit. Now, I don't even really have to be asked to make stags heads. I do a lot, and I do sometimes just keep a few blank ones which I've already burnt, so that if somebody just wants a name added to it, I can do that anyway. There is literally no problem, and people actually do actually ask me to put the stag's head on, and more often than not, it's in conjunction with somebody's name. Yeah, I do sell them generically with just a stag's head, but you know, I probably sell as many with names or you know, any other wording that they may want with that stag's head. Now, the stag obviously is a you know, a royal creature. It had that air about it, but it also had royal protection, and it was only royalty at one point that could actually hunt these animals. Such was their status, that it was not for the common lowly man like myself, you know, to be out in the woods, you know, with the longbow taking down stags. That those creatures were reserved solely for royalty or the ruling classes. And you know, that is, and the stag's head is used as an emblem for many you know, companies, brands, associated products, because quite simply it just gives you that feeling of quality and the best. And ultimately, a stag with a big set of antlers, does actually, state that, when it's in its full breeding and rutting, time of the year, only the best of the best will get to have access to the female deers. So yet again, it's another symbol of the best of the best. And people do like that, and and it's due to it being a powerful big mammal in this country. People do gravitate to it, and like I said, they do ask for it. And the stag's head comes in at number 1, and I'm possibly not surprising anybody there. And I myself would be surprised if you would have put it any further back the list than that number 1 anyway. So, to top this off, I do get asked to do some slightly more different and off-center kind of drawings. And like I always say, it's whatever the customer wants. And I've done various different dogs, various different other animals and that as well. And I've even been commissioned to do a cartoon Yeti. Now, that might seem a little bit random, but like I said, it meant something to somebody and they wanted it, so I produced it and they were very happy with it. But yes, there's also a few animals that do come along which are, good sellers in the right environment. Now, the Highland cow, if we are actually at a craft fair, a car boot sale, or just a sale of any type, and we have Highland cows, we can never have enough. People see it in the flesh and they just want it, particularly if we're in a rural setting. And obviously you get a lot of farmer type people or people involved in the agricultural world, or know of family members involved in the agricultural world. A Highland cow just speaks volumes to them. And it's cute, it's cuddly, it's got long hair, and people just love them. And you don't have to be in the agricultural trade to appreciate how stunningly cuddly and cute these cattle are. But ultimately they're not. You do not want to get near one, particularly if it's got a young calf in tow. I'll definitely put that one out there. But yes, they do sell very well. And we do that in conjunction with a moorland pony. And those two together, we do sell as the Moorland collection, which is a Highland cow and a moorland pony. But the Highland cow, that's a good seller. We also sell a lot of sticks in the right environment to people with like pheasants on. Now, you're probably going to understand what I'm going to come out and say here now. Obviously, the sporting people or sporting guns, associate with that particular creature, because the pheasant is a good representation to them of their passion for their outdoor activity, whether it be organised shoots, or whether they're rough shooting the hedges and hoping to get that odd pheasant for the pot. But the pheasant does represent the sporting gun, and we've sold quite a few of those, particularly if we've been at craft fairs or very rural car boot sales. They do tend to sell, and that's just an indication that wherever you go, sometimes a particular design will sell better, like at that particular venue than at another. And yes, the pheasant does very well in a rural setting. Well, I could talk designs, and the merits and the disadvantages of the particular animals and designs, and indeed, the possibilities of other designs selling, and the success rate or non-success rate of particular designs. It's a complete topic in its own right. I've just covered basically my top five selling designs that I do on my sticks, and I just thought it was quite fun to share that with you, because some particular placings there that you may have placed certain designs higher up the chart and perhaps some further lower, but ultimately that is my top five. I do have a raft of other designs I do, but ultimately that is the top five. So I'm going to head indoors now, because it is getting cold and nippy in here. I only actually came in here to do a very quick tidy up, because I've got a few things to do in here tomorrow. Now, so it's going to be a busy next year, and like I've mentioned on another video, harvesting sticks is my main aim for the next couple months. So I'm going to call this video to a close, and thanks for checking it out. This is Andy from the workshop, which is Folklore Hiking Sticks, and I hope to catch you out on the trail.